Reading aloud for you from my novella Goddess, Chapter 82. A feather dusted her left arm. It brushed up against her skin, floated away, came back. How on earth did an antiseptic hospital allow a feather to float into her hospital room? It didn't make a bit of sense. The feather touched her again, brushed up against her arm, floated off. It differed from the multitude of tubes and hoses that were streaming in and out of her body, connected through intravenous needles. No, this thing touching her arm was soft, a feather brushing the skin. Her left hip throbbed with a dull ache, in precisely the same manner it ached 14 hours earlier when she'd first sat down upon the wall of the Showalter fountain to call her good friend to let her know that her mother had died. Only 14 hours earlier. Her eyes remained closed, even as she grew aware of her senses. To her regret, she'd left the fantasy world behind and was now back in the present. She no longer had Lady Venus to rely upon. And so, who would help her now? The feather now floated against her cheek. Perhaps it was a bit of fluff or a tissue or some other ambient particle of dust that landed on her cheek. She lifted her left hand, pleasantly surprised that she possessed this power over her limbs, and brushed the bit of fluff off her cheek. She brushed it off. Odd that a tiny bit of fluff or a feather had found its way to her room in this otherwise perfect, sterile hospital. The bit of fluff, the tissue, the feather, floated onto her face again. She brushed it off. "Mom?" a soft voice said. The softness rested on her cheek. She absently brushed it away. The piece of tissue floated back, and this time it brushed up against the underside of her chin. She brushed it away, only her senses were dimly telling her it wasn't fluff. "Mom?" She opened her eyes and saw her beautiful daughter, Maryanne.